All right, we've got some good stuff to break down in this one, and it's going to run for about 12 to 15 minutes, not too long. There was also a situation with pocket aces you don't want to miss that's going to come up towards the end. But I'm also going to be explaining the correct way to bluff playing low and mid stakes. And for those of you watching for the first time, I'd like to give a little background on myself. I've basically been playing for the last 2 decades. I hop on about 4 times a week playing mid stakes. I don't have one type of strategy like GTO, ABC, or whatever. I really focus on two things. The first is making good decisions because at the end of the day, we do have control over that. And the second thing is that I try to use strategies against my opponents and exploit them as much as possible. Meaning, I'm going to bluff without hesitating if I think somebody is weak. And, after playing so many hands, you kind of pick up on little things a lot quicker. Of course, as I'm getting into this, also want to let you guys know we have an awesome community in the pinned comments section where you can talk with me one-on-one as well as with some other high-level members. Now, if you're stuck or hitting a wall at your current stake and want to take things more seriously, I highly recommend getting in there. Also, if you could tap the like on this, and let's get right into it. And if you want to grab a bottle of water, some Gatorade, some coffee, because like I said, 12 to 15 minutes, we got some interesting stuff to go over. But let's talk about bluffing. So, really, I only pick spots where my story actually makes sense because when you're bluffing, you're telling a story. And the key is that you want to bluff players who are capable of folding, not the ones calling anything with a pair because believe me, guys, they do exist. And you do see that more at the low stakes with people like that, but it still happens when you get to mid stakes. And when I bluff, I target scare cards, over cards, flushes, straights, spots where their range cracks. I also think about what I'm blocking depending on what I have, right? Now, bluffing isn't about courage at these stakes. It's really just about timing and credibility. So the next time you're bluffing, tell the story and you got to make it credible. If it's not credible, sometimes you just take the L and give the hand up, right? There are definitely situations like that as well, and it's all situational. But if you get anything from what I'm talking about with bluffing, you know, if you're gonna bluff, stick with it. Tell the story. Don't raise the white flag unless something seems up. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I'm saying. But it's always going to depend. You're always playing against different people, right? So you got to adjust to them. I would say after really like 20 to maybe like 30-ish minutes, you kind of pick up on how everybody's playing. You know what I'm saying? So you start to see who's maybe playing a little bit tighter, maybe a little bit more looser, etc., etc. All right. Anyways, sit back, guys, because like I said, man, it is going to get good, and you're not going to want to miss the aces situation that is going to come up really towards the end, right? If you have any questions, comments, things like that, feel free to message me. But like I said, I've been doing this a long time. I'm going to continue doing it because, hey, man, I enjoy it. So what else can I say? I think we all kind of play for that reason. All right, we got another queen 10 here. Going to open up to the 1250 piece, and see what happens here. Let's take a look at the table. Really nobody was doing too spectacular. Everyone kind of looks to be like where they started. So, I always kind of look at that when I sit down as well. And it looks like everybody folded. So not a whole lot going on just yet, but we're gonna get there. Okay, pocket nines. We are gonna be in the big blind here. Hopefully get a 9 right. Now, player 2 doesn't have a whole lot left, let's be honest, and he just limped into this. It's kind of like, dude, what are you doing, man? Like, now I just checked it. I just slow played it. I didn't have to, but I did. I would recommend just raising, though. I didn't for whatever reason, but it's all good. Not a good flop for pocket nines. You got 2 overs out there, we just don't have a whole lot here. We're losing to a lot. This guy went pretty small. I'm going to keep him honest to the river, which was a 2. So, you do have some spots where things missed. We're still losing to a jack here. He went for a little bit more value here. It just kind of didn't seem like a bluff if he was going to go for it again. Like, if I think he had a jack, maybe he just, would have checked it down to showdown. I don't know. I just think that we were losing to so much here, and I played this hand so poorly. So don't judge me on it, guys. Sometimes I get it wrong, but I definitely should have opened there, raised that one I could have been on a bathroom break or something could have been going on, right? All right. Anyways, ace jack off. Here we are. Finally, a decent looking hand. Definitely prefer it being suited. I always say that too. Like whenever you got ace jack, it's always a little bit trickier to play. Same with ace 10. Whenever those two hands are offsuit, they can be tricky, right? Especially when you're dealing with the re raises pre. But whatever. Back over to player six. Who is going to raise this one up? Now, I did notice after sitting here for a little bit, player six was playing pretty tight, which kind of led me to make a more than usual, because I'm a pretty aggressive player. I mean, just kind of like a little bit more than a usual fold here, which I did. I did think about re-raising this, but then I think what hit me was I was thinking like, dude, this guy's been playing pretty tight. He hasn't played a whole lot of anything, and those are like those little details you want to be paying attention to, and that's why I also recommend like if you don't really need to play more than two tables at a time. I think once you start playing more than two, you really miss those little details. And if you're playing like the mid games like this, I mean, you don't really need to. You could, but not everybody can handle playing, 4, 5, 6 tables at a time. Anyways, Queen Jack. So we are just, kind of in a lull to start, but it's all good. Like I said, stick with me. It's going to be worth your time, guys. All right. I mean, of course we're going to raise here. We're in the small. If this guy re-raised too, I mean, I'd probably just call to keep him honest, since he did take us down with that ace jack that, was a pretty tight fold for me. All right, here we are. He is going to make the call here. I'm pretty sure he made the call. He did. And, we got none of this. Couple tens out there with a six, but continuing is still ideal because we could still hit a queen or a jack on the turn. The odds of this guy having a 10 are pretty low, let's be fair. And he's going to continue. Now, he might be continuing with a couple of overcards. Maybe he's got like ace X and he's just trying to see if he gets something on the turn. Can't really blame him, but we did spike that queen, which felt pretty good. And I checked this one back to see what he would do, Maybe he does have a sneaky 10. Maybe he's got the Doyle Brunson, maybe he's got a 2-10 suited. It's possible. I just wanted to see what he would do here. But he's going to check it, which looked pretty weak to me. River card was a 6. I didn't really like that. But if he puts anything out here, obviously, I'm going to make the call. Pretty easy one, but I could not believe what this guy had. Look at this dude. Queen 6? Are you kidding me? How does that happen? So it happened, all right? And it kind of brings us to pocket aces, man. So I slowed this one down so I kind of just go over my thought process on it. The nice thing about getting aces here is that because we lost that last hand, it might look to some other players at the table like we're tilted a little bit. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee, guys. Give me one sec. Okay, yeah, I needed that little refresher right there. But yeah, I mean, if I try to make a play, like especially like pre-flop with this, it might look a little bluffy to the other players because of how that last hand just went. It could look a little bit tilted, right? But we're also on the button. I'm hoping somebody re-raises us, right? I mean, I'm hopeful. Really anything, so here we are. Little 1250 piece, okay? Little 1250 piece out there. Keeping it friendly on the button, So let's just keep our fingers crossed we get a re-raise, right? That's what we're hoping for here. Will we get it? That is the question. Will we get that re-raise? All right, back over to player one, who's also been playing pretty tight. I think everybody at this table is playing pretty tight, honestly. But here we are. Just waiting to see. It's always the worst, too, when you get aces and then nobody plays and everybody folds. Same with kings, It does happen, but I'll tell you guys, I'll tell you what. We got aces, man. Just re-raise us one time here, you know. One time. All right. Come on, man. I know you want to do it, player one. I know you want to raise it up. And yeah, like I said, I slowed this down because, you know, why not? I wanted to really just give you my thought process here, man. All right, so eventually he is going to raise us to the 60 piece. And, you know, we have a couple options here. We could just re-raise to like maybe 120 to kind of build the pot. That is something we could do. We could also just go for it here. I think that if he's got a strong hand, really any mid-pocket pair, I'm talking queens, even jacks sometimes will make this call. Him having ace king is less likely because, you know, of the fact that we have pocket aces. So, but, you know, I still made the play I made because I thought it would look a little bit bluffy because we lost that last hand. So that was kind of going on in my head too when I made this play. All right, so back over to player one who I think he's going to tank this a little bit here. He is going to call us. You know, yeah, he called us pretty quick. It wasn't even a tank. And I mean, we're in a great spot. Look at this, guys. But this is something you just don't see happen very often. All right. That is brutality, man. If this was Mortal Kombat, this is a fatality. This just, can you believe this? Anyways, guys, I still wanted to share this one with you and just kind of give you some insight on bluffing, playing like the low and mid stake games because, yeah, I mean, there's more nuance to it. But as we get to the end here, like I said, man, ping, comment, you know, definitely get in the community, right? I've been through everything. We could talk one-on-one. And subscribe if you haven't, guys. All right, thanks for watching it. We'll see you in the next one.